In my last video, I showed you how to chain, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to single crochet. That's the US term, and the UK term is how to double crochet. Don't worry, it's the same stitch. So we start off by creating a slip knot like last time, and we're going to chain however number of chains your pattern calls for. In this case, I'm going to do 15. Eight. Remember to move your fingers up and keep holding this closer to the hook. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So hopefully you remember this from my last video. And now is the new stitch, how to single or double crochet. The first thing you're going to do is count the second chain from the hook. So here's the first chain, here's the second one. Remember, we don't count what's on our hook. So this is the second chain from the hook. We're going to put our hook in. So I'll put it right in here. We're going to put the yarn over the hook, and this is called yarn over. And we're going to use, let me find my needle, the hook part of the hook. Oh, that's so redundant. To pull the yarn through. So we're going to pull it through. And now you've got 2 loops on your hook. And then you're going to yarn over one more time. So that means your yarn is over the hook and you're going to pull through. So I'm going to do that a few more times. I'm going to try to go slowly. Remember to not do this too tightly or you won't be able to pull your hook through. And this is why I told you to not chain too tightly, or else you wouldn't be able to get your hook through your chains. So we're going to put our hook into the next chain, no skipping this time, into the next chain, yarn over, pull up, you've got 2 loops, yarn over again and pull through. Again, yarn over, oops, oh, I was trying to start another stitch. Excuse me, sorry, I'm working on a blanket that takes a lot of this other stitch, so my hands are doing that automatically. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. My yarn is getting tight because it's still wound up in the ball, so I'm going to loosen some yarn because if that messes up with your tension. I always like to have a good bit of loose yarn to work with. Insert your hook into the chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. Insert your hook in the chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. Here, it's good that this happened. You can see that some of the yarn actually fell off my hook. This is called splitting the yarn. So what I do when that happens is I just go back a step and I go and I do it over again. So put your hook through, yarn over, make sure you catch it all, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Insert your hook in the chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. And this is the US single crochet or the UK double crochet. And it's called a single crochet in the US because you have one loop here when you start. Okay, so you have one loop when you start, you put your hook through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. However, in the UK, we see things differently. So I'll explain why it's called a double crochet in the UK. It's the same stitch. I'm going to put my hook through, and see, this one here is a bit tighter and it's harder to put through, and that's why I said don't chain this too tight. So we start off with one loop, put it through our chain, yarn over and pull through. And it's a double crochet in the UK because we have two loops on our hook at this stage. So the name was given because of different stages in the same stitch, and that's why they've got different names in different places, which isn't very smart in my opinion, but I didn't invent crochet, so what can I say? And then yarn over and pull through. So here we got to our last stitch, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. Insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And this is what it looks like. I think it looks quite pretty. This is also the most common stitch to make amigurumi. In case you're wondering, amigurumi are these crochet toys or animals, mostly toys and three-dimensional objects. But how do you make this bigger? So to make this grow, we'll have to chain one. So remember how to chain. Yarn over and pull through this loop. That's it. And now we're going to turn our work. Turning our work means just flipping it to the other side this way. Okay? So just a side note. Remember we skipped a chain here. The chain we skipped here is going to do the same job as the chain we just made here. It's going to give us the height we need. And now what we're going to do is keep working. We're not going to crochet into this chain we've just made. If not, our work is going to start doing this, and we want it to be straight. So we are going to work into the next one. So we're going to work into the second V. And now what you're going to look out for are these V's. Insert your hook through both loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Again, insert your hook through both loops, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to do this until the end of the row and show you what we do. An important note is remember to always yarn over, always put through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. don't put your hook through and pull it through like the yarn like this. This is called yarn under because the yarn is under the hook, and this is actually a different technique. Don't mix them up. If not, your work is going to come out kind of messy. I did this for the longest time before I realized. So remember to yarn over and pull through. And here we got to our last stitch. You can see, hopefully you can see the little V. Going to do the same thing, put our hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. As it's the end of our row, we're going to chain one. So yarn over, pull through, and flip our work. I always like to flip in this direction, and I recommend that you choose one direction and always flip in the same direction. It makes your edges look a lot neater. And I'm going to keep going. Again, remember not to work into this chain you just made. We're going to work into the next one, the next stitch, because this is the chain you've just made. If you're finding this confusing, what you can do is place a stitch marker in the chain. So let's go back a step. Finishing off our last stitch, finished our last stitch, and we're going to do a chain. I have a stitch marker here. If you don't have a stitch marker, that's fine. You can use a safety pin. You can use one of these safety pins, which are really cute. You can use a hairpin, okay? You can use a paper clip. Pretty much anything will do the job. I'm going to, I'll just use a safety pin so you can see how it's done with a safety pin. I'm pretty sure everyone has a safety pin lying around. You get them in clothes, don't you? So you're going to chain one at the end of you finish your row. You're going to chain one, and so you remember to not work into that row. Just put the safety pin in here, close it. Oh goodness, this is a really tough pin. There you go. Flip your work, and remember to not work in the one with the safety pin, so we work into the next one, which is this one. Insert through both loops, yarn over, pull through. Actually, this is a bit bulky. And you'll just keep doing this for as many rows as you have to. And let's say you have to count your stitches. Once I finish this row, I'll show you how to count your stitches. Oh, see what a mess I made. When this happens, you just pull your hook out and gently undo the last bit. Put your hook back in through all strands of yarn and start over. This is, I'm working with a cotton yarn because it gives you better stitch definition, and I want you to be able to see what I'm doing on camera. But I don't recommend starting with a cotton yarn because it does this, which is, it splits. So when you're starting, I definitely recommend starting with an acrylic. Start with something chunky or Aran, worsted in the US. Start with an acrylic, good quality acrylic. A few brands I can recommend are Paintbox. I also like Karen. This one here, Lion brand jeans. This one here is very soft and nice to work with. So it's just a few ideas of yarns to start off with that aren't going to make your life more difficult, because starting with poor quality yarns is also going to make your life difficult, and working with cotton takes a bit of experience, in my opinion, so it's not the best to start off with. But it's I'm just doing it because it lets you see the stitches better than the acrylic would. See, it did it again. I just trace my steps back and working into my last stitch here. And again, I'm going to chain one. And this is optional, as I said. You can put a stitch marker in your chain one so that you don't work into it by mistake. And you're going to flip things over. And that's the idea, you just keep working that way. And if you wanted to count your stitches, you can count as you go, but people will interrupt you and you'll lose your count. That happens, it's life. The easiest way to do it is to count it from the top. Some patterns will tell you to not count the turning chains. This is the turning chain. Some patterns will tell you to count it. So in this case, we're just going to count the stitches. We're not going to count the ones with the stitch markers. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There you go.